Thank you so much for joining me and listening wherever you are. Sharing is caring. You've probably heard this phrase many times. We can share ideas, skills, belongings, time, and of course we can share food, which is definitely the best. Not only does sharing benefit the person you're sharing with, but you yourself are also benefiting from a meaningful exchange. Sharing innately builds community, but also shifts the focus from ourselves onto the people around us. But what if I told you that sharing can also help the planet? By sharing our useful belongings, we can also not only save ourselves and others space and money, but also on greenhouse gas emissions, raw material use, and landfill waste. The simple act of borrowing something like a sewing machine, a lawnmower, or a vacuum cleaner is a really easy way to cut down on your footprint, especially if you only use those sorts of items once or twice a year. Did you know that the average drill is used for only 13 minutes of its entire life? And considering that all manufactured goods such as tools, tech, and appliances make up 20% of all household emissions, a big chunk that I think we can easily bring down by becoming more aware of what we buy new and what we could borrow instead. I work as an assistant manager at a charity called Frome, and that is exactly the idea behind what we do. Instead of one person owning 10 items, we like to encourage 10 people to use one item interchangeably to get a really good life out of that item. We operate like a library where members borrow items for short periods of time for a fraction of the cost to buy. We offer just under 1,000 items ranging from DIY tools, gardening equipment, tents, and kitchen appliances, plus more. And most of these items have been kindly donated by our local community. Between April last year and March this year, Share was able to save 199 tonnes of greenhouse gas emissions, 254 tonnes of manufacturing waste, and 22 tonnes of raw material use. And now with over 1,000 members, we were able to save them just over £140,000. So we're now in the exciting process of expanding Share and becoming a federation of charities, with Frome being the first branch under Share UK, with more branches to come. So a little bit more about myself. I've been interested in environmentalism ever since I discovered things like veganism, the zero waste lifestyle, and minimalism during my time at university when I studied fine art photography. I graduated not having a clue what I wanted to do, and so like many other people my age, I went traveling. I did this for a year, and when I came back, I unfortunately went through a period of depression. There were many reasons why I went through this, but one of them being what some call eco-anxiety, a feeling that you're only adding to the environmental problems of the world instead of helping them. But I was able to move through this difficult period through a lot of talking and processing with loved ones. But also around this time was when I started volunteering at Frome. And this was a big factor in my recovery and really helped me to find my passion for the environment again. I realized that community is so crucial for mental health, especially when you surround yourself with like-minded people who positively work on making a difference in the world. And now, 2 years later, I'm working towards becoming manager of Frome and just as passionate as ever. So while Share is an amazing innovation in the small town of Frome, I want to spread the idea that anyone, anywhere can reduce their footprint by simply sharing, borrowing, and looking after their belongings. When you're next considering buying something that you may only use once or twice or for a short period, consider your friends and your family, your neighbours, your colleagues. Do they happen to have what you're after? Now, I know this may feel like an uncomfortable question to ask in an age where we pride ourselves on our independence and our ability to buy almost anything with just a few clicks. But you'll be surprised by how willing people are to share what they own, especially if they're sitting somewhere collecting dust. Another aspect of Frome that I love is how we share our time and our skills. Repairing useful belongings is another great way to save waste ending up in landfill. At Share, we have a wonderful team of volunteers and repairers who have gained knowledge and experience for fixing all manner of tools and electronics. Before the lockdown, we even ran a repair cafe every few months to encourage locals to bring their broken items to be fixed in a more fun, sociable atmosphere. I've learnt through this that we all have skills we can offer that will help build a stronger community and in turn a healthier planet. As a child, I learnt to sew, and this really came in handy for things like fixing bags and clothes and upcycling old fabric into something new. You may know someone who's great at fixing kitchen appliances, which are some of the worst for ending up in landfill. Even simply donating or selling your broken items online is a great way to save waste, as there are now more and more people willing to fix, save money, and avoid the unnecessary emissions that buying new involves. Another great way to shift your mindset is to think about the things you already own and what you could own in the future. Asking yourself simple questions like, do I really need that new dress? Can I find something similar secondhand? Can I find a better quality kettle that will last longer and not break so quickly? Do I really need 2 drills? Can I donate one to a friend? And consider the idea that borrowing something can be just as enjoyable as owning it. Remember when you were a child and you borrowed a book from the library and you really appreciated that book knowing that you only had 2 weeks to read it? I'm definitely guilty now of buying a book, putting it on my shelf, telling myself I have all the time in the world to read it, and then sadly forgetting about it. Equally, when you borrow a juicer from a friend, you may get the same excitement I did as a child when my mum took me to the toy library in Frome, which, by the way, is still running. So I came here today to share this simple idea with you. Sharing is caring. But I want you to see sharing not as an inconvenience, a chore or a box ticked. I like to see sharing as a positive mindset, a simple daily consideration that makes the future look just a little bit brighter. Acknowledging the life of the wonderful things we use every day and the people around us who also benefit from them. We're surrounded by a lot of doom and gloom at the moment, whether it's about global warming or the pandemic. But I have found that my creativity, my resourcefulness, and my sense of community have all really grown with the simple awareness of the connection we have to the world we live in, the people around us, and the amazing things we use. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. That was a lovely way to round off our talks on innovation for climate change. And next week we have Peter Radford, Truth in a Post-Truth World, Getting Out of the Cave. So come and tune in next week, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye.